さんこんにちは。私の名前はエイミです。こちらは私の妻マギです。二人で ThinkerThemer とやっています。Hi everybody, it's Amy and Maggie and we are at the end of day 2 of the Tokyo Game Market Spring 2025, in case you're watching this in the future. And we thought we would record here in Tokyo.
Yes, so we have actually, this is our 4th time here. I can actually see, so we're obviously at our hotel room, I can actually see people leaving now because we're staying quite close to the messe where it's being held.
And that was actually a good change. This is the first time we've stayed on location. It's also the first time that we've attended Sunday. So if you're not familiar with Tokyo Game Market, it is a 2-day gaming convention. The first day is predominantly board games. And so every other time when we've come here, we've just gone to Saturday. If you can only make it to one day, certainly Saturday is your day.
Much bigger day.
Much bigger day. Most of the big game releases will be on the Saturday. Sunday is more RPG booths. But what's interesting is there were still quite a few board game things going on today. And it was nice as well that there were some board games that you could only pick up today.
Yes.
So it just was pretty lucky that we were in the area and we were able to drop in and grab a couple of the Sunday games, which was great. But it was also a lot less crowded, which was really nice.
It was easier to walk around, take your time looking at all the different stalls. So that was good. But also, as we found out, a bit dangerous because you're taking more time and you're like, I've already spent all of our, we've already spent all of our money, but it's like, this is so cute. And you're getting more time to talk to the person and they're just sort of giving you all of their attention because it's quieter and you're like, yeah, maybe I should pick
I'll
that.
buy one. Until we got to the point where literally we were scrimping our final yen from our pockets.
Coins.
We
were like adding coins between the two of us and we're like, I think we're 100 yen short.
We were 100 yen short.
Yeah.
And so one of these games actually gave us a discount of 100 yen. We'll talk about that when we get to the game. We are going to go through our entire haul, but we just want to talk a little bit about the experience that we've had here at Tokyo Game Market. We had quite a few people come up to us at the convention to tell us, thank you if you did, that you watched our video about the mistakes we made going to Tokyo Game Market. We made that after November's con last year, 2024, where we made a series of errors that resulted in probably, we still had a great time, but we could have had a better time.
Well, a more comfortable time.
A more comfortable time.
Yeah, yes. So this time we actually we learned from all of our mistakes and we made sure to do some preparation beforehand. So we did. We actually had, we made a lot of reservations, so actually reserved a lot of games beforehand. We also had our media pass.
which we didn't even know there was a media pass.
Yes.
And of course, everyone else can't get a media pass. So, but I think what's interesting about having a media pass is it allows us to capture a lot more B-roll before things get too busy. So it is actually really helpful for us to go in early and record. Of course, we're not buying anything during that time, but it's really nice to just be able to, get the setup and see what's happening.
You're actually not allowed to record. You shouldn't be recording or taking photos if you don't have a media badge on you. So
last time, probably should have had a media badge because we made some videos.
Yeah, well, only like a little couple. Like on the way. Yes, sumimasen. Gomenasai. On the way out and like outside on the So those were a bit of like just quickly kind of thing.
But from a more practical side of things that everybody can relate to, is we took bags with us. So we went to the 100 yen store and we picked up some very cheap bags that we just had in our backpacks because very quickly we fill our backpacks and then you need extra bags. And at the last convention there were no bags to be had unless you wanted to spend $25 on a very cute bag but very expensive bag, calico bag.
That was actually not the case this year.
No,
there were a couple of publishers who were, I think because they learned everyone was struggling with the lack of bags by the end of last one. So I think a lot of them hey, we'll have our branding. So there were a few
free bags, which was cool. But I still recommend bring your own, then you won't get caught short.
Yeah.
Because most booths do not have their own bags. They're just handing you the game and then you're like, oh no, now I'm carrying this stack of games. So bring bags.
Food. We actually were prepared. We always had our onigiri. So we went to our konbini, the convenience store beforehand.
7-Eleven.
Our 7-Eleven, got our snacks. So I had protein bars and so we were ready to go. Having said that, this year also the food area seemed a little bit better. So the lines weren't as intense. And apparently even the quality of the food seemed...
We didn't have any because we had a pretty bad experience last time. So this time we wanted to bring our own food, but we did hear from our friends because this time we were very lucky to have Monique and Naveen here from Before
Yes.
You Play, and Ilya and Tyler from
Yes.
Hovre. They were both in Japan, happened to be traveling in Japan,
Yeah.
happened to both be coming to Tokyo Game Market. So
Yes.
that was amazing because, we got to walk
Hang
around,
out.
hang out, and after we got to
Play.
play some of these games. So some of the
After
games we're
hours,
going to talk
yeah.
about, we can actually tell you what they like to play, which is
Yes.
a nice change.
Yes.
From our haul videos. Anyway, Maggie and I have been here for 2 weeks as well. We actually this time landed in Fukuoka, which we've never been there before. We hired a car and we drove around Kyushu. Well, not all the way around, but we did a lot of the highlights. We went to Huis Bosch, the
Yes.
Amsterdam theme park
It's
where
like
Miffy lives.
in the middle of a rural kind of Japan, you have this whole bit of Europe that's been recreated, and it's huge. So that was very
I didn't tell
impressive.
Maggie we were going
I
there.
had
She was
no
like,
idea
where
that even
are we?
existed. And then, yeah, I ended up going, what is this? Like, there's like the windmills, there's the sort of, they've recreated the tulip fields.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it's huge.
It's
like,
huge, yeah. And then we drove down to Nagasaki. We got the ferry across to Kumamoto. And then we drove through, some of the smaller towns as well. Oh, we went to like a pottery festival during
Yes.
Golden Week, which
Yep.
was amazing up in the top part of Kyushu. And we kind of looped back through Beppu, went to the hot springs and ended back at Fukuoka. We then did a slight detour to Osaka on the way to Tokyo just to go to World Expo, which
Yes.
if you didn't know is happening in Japan. It happens in a different location every 5 years. This year it is in Japan again. I don't think it's been here for a very long
Yeah.
time.
in
Maybe
the
since the
70s?
70s
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. And so every country has a pavilion there. It was a wild experience. Horrible to book.
The logistics of the booking and the apps were
The
not
lottery
at their
system.
best. Yeah.
Terrible.
But when you're in there, when you're actually inside, the architecture of all the different pavilions and the actual structural around it was very impressive and very cool.
Yeah, anyway, you're not here to hear about our travel plans. You're here to hear about games, and that is fair. So we're going to get into our haul. There is over 50 games that we purchased, most of which we were able to reserve, and so
Yes.
that it just takes the panic out of things a little bit. So that was a really nice experience. But what we found last time in comparing this time to last time we reserved nothing.
Nothing,
We just
yeah.
turned up because we weren't expecting to come.
Hoping for
it
the
was very
best.
last minute, hoping for the best, and we still had a great time, and we still
Yeah.
got a lot of games. So if you don't have the time to invest in like working out what games are releasing, don't stress about it. There were plenty of copies actually of games. I didn't see, it wasn't until later in the day where things were selling out. Of course, there's a few things that have limited runs, but if you don't know, you don't know. And I feel like the more you know, the
worse it gets.
The worse it
the
gets.
more FOMO you're like,
like maybe
So-
that's the game I need to get. So
And, yeah. And the other thing is the constant feeling is because you're always asking, so what's the thing that you're after, and consistently is this whole thing of like, well, there's titles that you're chasing, but you really never know what you're gonna get. It's a bit of a mixed bag, and so a lot of the stuff that you get on a feel and a vibe, and like I kind of like the look of it, and I've heard or I've been able to get a little bit of an idea from the rulebook, but a lot of it you won't know until you play it.
Yeah.
So it's just a big unknown, which is part of the fun.
It's
you know, it's-
there's two key elements of Tokyo Game Market that make it so unlike anything else. It's like the fact that it's so indie means that these are limited print runs and you may never see this game again.
Yes.
So that is the first thing where you're like, maybe this is the only time here in this moment where this game is and my only chance to get it.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is I have no idea generally about the background of, the designer. There's no information. Usually there's no English rulebook. And so you are really just gambling that, like Maggie said, the vibe is going to convert to a great game experience.
Having said that, I found that even just in this game market, there were a lot more English rulebooks available in terms
Slowly,
of like, there's a QR code and then there's a translation of it. So it's getting better for English speaking people.
It is, but there's still a lot of Japanese only games. Yeah. So if you come here with those, kind of with those expectations.
Yes.
And that's why when people say, what's the one game? It's like, well,
it's hard.
I don't know, because I don't want to lead you astray.
Yeah.
But so what we're going to do is talk about what we know about the games that we purchased, and then we will play them and, give you proper thoughts on them. But for now,
As a disclaimer, there's a lot of games. We're tired, so
exhausted.
don't take us on on our word for absolute. So we're gonna try and remember, like, why did we get this again?
Why was that on the list?
It was cool because of this and that. So we'll definitely get some of those things a little bit wrong. But
in the comments, there'll probably be a lot of things like, you described this game as that other game. And we'll be like, oh no.
That may happen.
But anyway, let's go. So I want to talk about the game that I got first. What was the first stop? And the first stop for me was this little game called Switch 2. Show you the game here. So as you can see, this is a clear violation of Nintendo's IP. And what was really funny is the designer was making this game because of all of the franticness that's going on about the Switch 2 and everybody wanting to, get their hands on one. And so he said, I wanted to make a game that could kind of feed off the frenzy of Switch 2. But then, of course, he knew that he wouldn't be able to keep it branded this way. And actually, after he made it, he thought, this is actually a really good game. And so what I've heard is this game is actually being released at the next Tokyo Game Market with new art and a proper theme and everything else. But I wanted to pick this up because this felt like something that would only be here and really is like a time capsule as to what was going on at the time because the Switch 2 being released. The game itself is quite interesting because it's a shedding game, and from what I remember and understand, I think you are trying to anticipate how many turns it's going to take you in order to shed out all your cards, which I haven't seen before. And that's represented by these tokens. I think you make a bid and you get those tokens, and then you're spending those tokens every time you take a turn, and you want to be correct in that bid. So that is Switch 2. Now that designer is the same designer as, where have I put it? Oh, it's right here. Mot Coin. So Mot Coin is another game that I picked up while I was at his booth. I think this game came out last year, and it's a game about a virtual currency. Not my favorite theme, but what I do like is that it's kind of a economic game that's driven by a dice auction. So I started reading the rules so I could give you a better explanation of that, but no, it seemed too complicated and I'm too tired.
To be a later explanation.
I was like, it just seems like quite layered, and it feels like there's, you could bid really high in the auction, but then there's some kind of like time-based penalty for that. So anyway, it sounds really interesting. So I'm intrigued to check that out. So that was at one booth. So that's 2 out of 50. Let's just keep moving along. You've got one over there?
I've got one over here. What's this? Wish Upon a Star. So it's a cute little, cute artwork. And that's probably one of the other things with this game show is there's just so much incredibly cute artwork that you're going to come across that is like,
you have to be strong.
You have to be very strong. And then it's like, okay, is the game text dependent? It's like, and if it is, it's like, okay, wait, it means I can't get it. Okay, it sort of rules it out. But if it's not, it's like, okay, what's it about? And then you're trying to get a sense. But anyway, so this one is Wish Upon a Star. You're essentially, it's a combination of trick taking and deck building. So you're playing cards, and as you're playing cards, you're also going to be winning different value cards that then become part of your hand. That's as much as I kind of remember of this. And I don't know if you know more.
I don't, but more. I had read about it, and this was one that I couldn't work out what booth it was. I don't know why I couldn't work that out. Maybe I looked it up and then forgot about it, but then I was walking past, I think it was the end of yesterday, and I just clocked it, and I was like, I remember reading about that, I'm going to grab it. So I grabbed it, and that's what happens. And I'm like, I can't remember if I read about it and decided not to get it. But anyway, I'll get it.
Well, we got it.
Best to err on buying it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there you go. So
no, says my wallet.
We'll let you know.
I've got another 2 because these are both by the same designer, Yokome. And he's the designer of a two-player trick-taking game called Peas.
That we
got. Peas?
I don't think it was the previous one. It was like 2.
I think it was a couple of years ago. Yeah. But last year he released another 2-player trick-taking game called Bubblegum. And in Bubblegum, you're playing obviously one card each into the trick. But I believe when you win the trick, you take your opponent's card and you put it in front of you, and that becomes a scoring kind of tracker. And what you're trying to do thematically is like blow the biggest bubble to impress your opponent. But if you go over 15, your bubble has popped and you've gone too far.
Got gum
You've
all
got
over
gum all
your
over your face.
and now it's just... or your hair. That's the worst, when you get gum in your hair.
I think this came out last year and was probably part of we didn't do any research last year, so we completely missed it. But it's had good reviews, so I wanted to pick that up. And then at the same time, while I was there, I wasn't intending on purchasing this one. I didn't know much about it. But this is actually the same designer's first multiplayer game, like non-two-player game. So this one does play up to 4, and it's called Dogs. And actually, the designer's friend was there who spoke quite good English, and so he was explaining to me.
Good. That's handy.
He was explaining to me how the game worked. And basically, you are winning when you win a trick. Depending on what card you win with, you're going to get a number of hot dogs. And then when you win tricks, you turn the cards over, and the back of the cards are a plate, and you need to match the number of hot dogs that you're getting with the number of tricks or number of plates that you're setting up. So you're trying to balance those two things. And so that sounded really interesting. And then all of the cards were individually illustrated, so they're all just customers.
That's right. They're really cool. Like, they're all like this really cool watercolor portrait type
style of game. So on this one side, you've got the paper plates where you're going to put the hot dogs, and on the other side are just like all these gorgeous illustrations of, there's an actual dog.
That's a dog eating a hot dog.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's not made of dogs.
It's not made of
dog.
It's fine. It's fine. But it's just all different people, a lot of them eating hot dogs. Anyway, I thought it sounded like mechanically really interesting, and then the art got me over the line.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to play that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we'll move on to this one. So this is actually Tute, but I don't know if you say it's technically based on a very, very old classic Spanish game, trick-taking game. So I don't know if it's then meant to be Tute.
Yeah. You're the one that speaks Spanish.
Tute or Tute. It doesn't have an accent, so maybe it's like Tute. So so it actually it's a team-based trick-taking game where, again, it's one of those, like, it's very, very widely played. It has that almost teach you like thing where you're not only you're getting points for the things that you're for different cards that end up in the tricks that you've won, but there's also things that you can call out. So there's things that you kind of predict or nominate, and so if you manage to hit that thing, then you're also going to be getting particular points. Now this has been rethemed essentially with this kind of like it's like ogres and tavern type thing.
Oh, is it?
It is,
I didn't even
so you
know
can't
that.
actually see it. You can sort of see a little bit in the back. You haven't actually opened it, but I don't know why you'd need that. It's pretty cute. Like, the actual artwork is pretty cute. But yeah, it's essentially just a classic game.
I'm just like really amused
Rebranded.
while you're holding this up, is I hadn't noticed, but on the back it has this big printed BGG score 7.
Yeah.
I just think that's really funny. I mean, most people's cutoff is like, 7 is a good game, and like 7 and above is kind of a good game. But I just think that's like really funny that it's like PG
Lead
score
with that.
7.
It's
like, it's not that it was like 9.5.
But it's also, it should have like, because the BGG score can change. Like, they can go up and down. So it's like at time of printing, it doesn't say like
Really
at what point in
committed.
time. Yeah. So that's Tute
Yes.
or Tute.
But that's what we're committing to. And now I've got to work out how to say this one. But it's Quashars? Quashars?
Sure. Quashars.
Quashars. Anyway, a lot of people will recognize this if you've been doing your research for Tokyo Game Market, because it is the new Taiki Shinazawa game. Well, I should say one of the new Taiki games, because there was also this one, Quattro Trick Taking. So I picked both of these up. This one, he only had 150 copies, and I think they got reserved very quickly and only in a short window of time. So I just happened to reserve that within the window of time. And then this one was freely available actually on both days. So I was really excited because I didn't expect to find the Japanese version of this. I know that there's a copy, I think, that was made in Brazil, and I did see that there after I managed to pick up this Japanese version. Anyway, what are they? 2 trick-taking games. This one is really interesting in that every player has a different mechanism for bidding on how many tricks they're going to win. And that mechanism changes from round to round. So there's a set A, B, C, and D. And like one of them will be like it's going to be the card that you I think, win with, the color that you win with. Another one's going to be like the sum of the numbers of the tricks that you win is what you're predicting.
Right, okay.
And then another one has a series of challenges. So there's 4 different ways that you can make the bid, and that's changing. Whereas Quashars is kind of similar, except for every player has multiple things they're trying to achieve. And so at this one, you have one objective that changes every round. In this one, you've got objectives that you're trying to stack together in a way that makes sense in the way that you play out the game. So I actually really like Taiki's games. I also picked up Tower Chess while we've been
got
here.
to play.
Yeah, which, Maggie loves, an abstract.
I am not a fan of chess. It's interesting. It's an intriguing
it's
game.
basically chess, but you cover the pieces,
Yeah.
which means that you're basically stopping your opponent from being able to move those pieces. But once you move off them, they are free again for your opponent. So it's quite an interesting take on chess. So check that out. But anyway, I like Taiki games. So yes. Anyway, that's 2 more.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to take us a long time.
Yeah, this will take
Too much
a while.
talking.
Yeah. So there's this one called Depot, which is like, it sort of looks like an Amazon package. And the whole concept of this is there's a central, you're trying to kind of arrange packages, and their numbers of the cards are representing like their serial number. So I don't know why you're trying to either get sets, so it's like the packages that are the same number together, or the sequences, which is like essentially that they're like one next to the other, so they're like a sequence. Anyways, but you're as you're playing. Now I can't remember, is this a trick taking or is it shedding? So shedding, but you also have a central area, so like a central storage area that you can actually interact with and get cards from that to essentially make better sets with. So it's just sort of like an intriguing one.
Yeah.
And we'll see what it's like.
This one is called Ruby Eye Millionaire. Did I get that name right? I think it's Ruby Eye Millionaire. This is such an interesting concept for a game. It is a shedding game. And it comes with a set of 4 glasses that make everything go red. And why that's important is because the cards have hidden numbers on them that you can only see when you're wearing this. So I can see that this is a king hidden underneath this 4.
Right.
And you are trying to shed in this game, but at certain times, I might just keep this on for the rest of the video.
I mean, you look great. Like,
thanks.
that's the main thing with this game, is you get to look super cool.
You look super cool. Like when you go see a 3D movie, you're like, wow, we all look like winners.
Yes.
Anyway, so I forgot what I was saying. You are shedding, but you get an opportunity to roll a die, and if you get a certain result, I think you get the opportunity to put these on. And if you put these on, well, then you've got more ways of interacting with the cards on the table. I don't know, because you can see the hidden numbers.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. I haven't read the rules, but that was enough of a gimmick.
To be like,
Yes.
I'm in.
Yes.
I'm getting this.
One, please.
Now, the next one. This one's called Stella Quest, and it's the cards themselves, so the actual artwork, the illustrations on them. I don't know if you'll be able to see them very well there. They're gorgeous. So the drawing on them is gorgeous, and then you also have these different tokens. And the whole theme of this is you're actually going through your stars, going through the cosmos, collecting human emotions. So I think if you collect, there's like 6 different emotions sort of represented. If you collect all 6, you win the game. The tricky thing about this is, as you're winning tricks, which is what allows you to collect these emotions, you get the attention of like a black star. It's like it gets its eye on you, and then if you have the attention of the black star and you win while that's happening, then it's drawing up, it's using up your life. So you actually have these different tokens that represent your life. I think you start with like 5 tokens. So then you're also trying to manage that. And so so I think it's going to be an interesting one in terms of how that kind of works. And I believe it's that kind of, you're using trick taking as a way to win, so that you can collect these different tokens. Beautiful production, though.
Yeah, really beautiful. Yeah. Actually, in a similar vein, I'll talk about Lunar Trick. This was one of the, I think a lot of people had this on their reservation list. It's got a really cool, like material board that some people, a cloth board, that's the word I was looking for. And it has like a really interesting mechanism as well, where I think that you're I don't know, simultaneously maybe playing cards at the beginning, but whatever cards people are playing are going to have an impact on what is trump and what the range of the suits are, or something like that. But it seems incredibly dynamic, as in things are changing. One of the reasons I picked this up is because the designer is the designer of a game called Joraku, which is a game that hilariously we have 2 copies of that I paid a lot for both times, and we've never played it. Fun fact.
Don't you love that?
Welcome to our household. That is Lunar Trick.
All right, and then we've got, okay, so this is an interesting one. So this was called Magic Hand and the 3 Elements. This is a bit of a mix between rock, paper, scissors, but then also, like, so you've got markers and you've got cards, dry erase cards. And so you have, during setup, you have a set number that you can distribute amongst your cards. So you're essentially creating your own cards that you're going to then be playing.
It's a trick-taking game.
Yeah, playing tricks with. And so the suits are going to be based on these 3 elements, and those 3 elements, in terms of the what trumps what, act in a bit of a rock, paper, scissors of, like, you know, I think like water trumps, imagine it's like water trumps fire, but fire trumps grass, and grass trumps, so it's like, it's that sort of, so you're getting to decide the spread that you'll have in your card. So that's it's quite intriguing from that point.
So, beautiful box.
Yeah, really cool box. And just I don't think I can remember a game where you're getting to decide what the cards in your hand are going to be based on like a distribution. So it's not just like from anywhere. It's like I think you have a set amount.
Like the suits. Yeah. I was thinking of my favorite things where you write the ranking of the things. That's the only one I can think of with dry erase. What else can we talk about? Maybe talk about this one, because we actually got an opportunity to play this one.
So this one's called Identity. Really cool art as well. So you have all these different teens who are very invested in just being very unique. And so it's a must not follow trick-taking game. We got to play this, and the whole thing is you have all these different suits. You're as soon as someone sort of leads, everyone else who plays after that, you're not allowed to play any card that matches either the number or the suit that has already been played by any player. So you're always having to play something completely unique. If you can't, then you have to play a card face down, which is bad. So, well, not necessarily bad, that's going to be negative points. So you will win if you have the highest card, regardless of the suit, the highest number card, and there's negative numbers in it. So you'll win the trick, which would be positive points. But then the other thing is, at the start, you actually are 2 of the cards in your hand, you're going to play down as your bid. And so the cards, because some of them are positive and negative, so you can make a negative bid, or you can make, so really, really interesting to
I really
try
like this one. Yeah.
It worked quite well.
It did work really well. We thought that because we played it at 6, because it plays up to 6. It probably wasn't best at 6, because what it meant was the people who were like playing 5th or 6th really had limited options available to them. But that kind of made for interesting dynamic as well, about when you wanted to take the lead versus really didn't want to take the lead. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other thing about it. It's like whoever plays the lowest value card takes the lead, but doesn't necessarily win, obviously.
But doesn't win the trick. Very, very intriguing game. I really liked it, actually, on first play. Another one of my personal most anticipated at the con was Odessey. Odessey is Gianil's new game, so the Korean designer who has done a lot of things, most recently the Yellow House, which wasn't actually our favorite one of his designs. He's had Jekyll versus Hyde, which I actually like more, but Ptolemy is one that I really, really love.
And there's the one that I always forget how do you pronounce it. It's like Hipparchus?
Yeah.
And that one is so...
The name is as hard as the rules.
Yes, it's so not intuitive, but so intriguing in the way that it plays. It's just like such an interesting game.
So I think I would always pick up his games, because I do find them really fascinating. Odessey is a trick-taking game, but you're moving your ship along like a little map. And I believe there's also a central pool of cards as well that you're going to be able to play from instead of from your hand by playing these tokens that you have a limited supply of. And that's all I can remember for you. But again, his games are great. So really looking forward to this. This was quite popular at the game market, so you'll probably hear a bit more about that soon.
All right, so what else do I have over here? Okay, I've got 2 little games. So this one, I can't remember how you pronounce this one. I'll have to put it on.
It's up the top here.
Oh, it is. Mauliere. So Mauliere is a little cat.
It's tiny. Look how tiny
It's
these
super tiny, so you can see it's sort of how it fits in my between my fingers.
How are the cards?
Yeah, the cards are
haven't seen the
very
cards.
very simple. They're very cute. So they all have a different. So the key thing with this is the suits. You can tell the suits from the back. So yeah, they've got different kind of icons or colors for the suits, and you play this game face down. So you're as you're playing it, all the cards are played face down, so you know if someone's sort of following suit or not, but you don't really know until later on. And then on the other side, the cards.
The cats are cute.
They're cats that like then change in size based on like the one is really little, and as you start going up 4 or 5. Oh no!
The tiny cards are gone.
The tiny cards are So that's the main thing that I kind of was able to gather about this one. So I'll be keen to play it because it's that concept of playing cards face down. And then revealing later is always intriguing because you're playing blind. Yeah. And then the other one, so there's these two were from the same booth.
Yeah.
Is called How Many Calories? So this is a weird one in that you're trying to. So depending on the player count, there's a caloric number that you're trying to hit. Yeah. So you're allowed to, and it's actually good. Like as you're eating, you're kind of consuming all these calories, and you're gaining them as points. But you don't want to bust. You don't want to go over that particular limit. And there's all these really like the cards are actually the illustrations are really cool. I don't know if you'll be able to like if it'll focus on it. But all the different foods in them. The other thing that happens is I believe you're also then passing cards. So it's like you're going to be giving or allocating more food or gaining food from and calories therefore from other people. So yeah, it's just really kind of quirky, and keen to sort of see
Nice.
how it plays out. Yeah.
I'll talk about Segnum, which is a shedding game where you have pieces of, in this case, cardboard that can change a number. So if you have the number 3, as it shows on here, you could add one piece to it to turn it into a 9. So it's got the, the kind of digital digits things. And there are a few games that already do this. So I think it was like Segment Tricks that might have been the first one, and then Twinkle Star something. And there were actually 2 other games at this same convention that had a similar idea. And I read about those ones. We actually had an opportunity to play what I would say had the cutest art one, and was quite popular. We played that, and it didn't land very well. I don't know, there was just something in the scoring. I don't know, maybe if we played it more. But I am intrigued to play this one because this one has very similar rules in that when you pass, so you're playing a fairly standard shedding game where you've got sets and you can play those out. But when you pass, you get 2 pieces of cardboard that can help you alter the cards that are in your hand. But in this one, the pieces have 2 sides to them, and you can actually remove lines as well by playing the dark side to make a number lower if you wanted to. And then at the end of the round, if you still have those segments left over, they are penalties as well. So you want to use them as quickly as you can, basically. So yes, I'm just there was more to it and I can't remember, but intrigued to try this one. We haven't really found one that perfectly works for us as like ooh, I love that game.
Yeah,
but
with that type of
mechanic. But I do enjoy that mechanic. Like while I'm playing it, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of fun, like changing my cards. But I haven't found one that's like, ooh, I love this game. I need this in my collection. So anyway, Segnum. We'll see how we go with that one.
What else do we have over here? So we have this one called Anaphylaxis, where you are collecting bees of different sort of powers, and the high bees, the kind of the higher numbers have a lot of points, but the whole thing is you don't want to get the same bee twice, because if you get the same bee twice, then you are kind of poisoned or you get anaphylaxis, and it's
There is player elimination in this game, so not everyone is going to enjoy that about this little game. Also, not a lot of people, some people might have a problem with the theme of it as well. Anaphylaxis is pretty...
It's a thing that happens.
As a person who carries an EpiPen and has gone into anaphylaxis, I'm okay with it being, cardboard form is fine with me.
So that's, look, and it says it's a 15-minute, plays in 15 minutes, which is quite quick. So we'll see.
We'll see.
There was another one that we played that we had a few times. That was like nights in
the
Boysen.
one about allergies.
Yeah, so that was kind of similar where you didn't want to double up on something. So we'll see how this one is sort of
I need to talk about one that we've played while I gather my thoughts about the ones we haven't played.
Wearing the t-shirt.
Maggie's got the t-shirt, and that was actually Tyler bought the t-shirt.
Yes.
And Maggie was like, I love the art too. I want
was
the
a t-shirt. Yeah.
Because the art on this new Oink game is so cute. Petiquette. Now, this was a release here at Tokyo Game Market, and look, real talk. Oink games sometimes work for us, and a lot of the time don't.
Yeah. It's more miss than hit. Like, I also appreciate the cool little box and the sort of angle of their production, but most of the time it's not a game for us.
There are a few that we like, and Petiquette, I am happy to say, was one that truly delivered. It makes my brain happy. The way that this game works is there's going to be 6 cards placed out in a row, and each of those cards simply has an animal on it. So I think it's a cat, a duck, or a dog, and they're all wearing different hats, which are different color, represented by different colors, and they have a different number above their head. And in that line of 6, one of them is going to be a question mark. So you have a pattern of these animals and these numbers, and one
that happens randomly because you're just sort of shuffling cards and one random set of cards.
Yeah, and then everybody else has the same deck of cards, which basically has every possible card that could take that spot. So you are taking a card that has, let's say, a duck wearing a red hat, and then you have this number dial that you can clip onto the top of it, not very easily.
Yeah, so that's one of the criticisms is the cards are a little bit
One of the criticisms from Maggie.
From me particularly. I don't like that the cards are quite thin.
They are quite thin.
And because you're kind of wedging card within card, like that's got the potential to get damaged pretty easily.
But the game is so good that it's worth it.
Okay.
Well, for me personally, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to work out what card goes in that sequence the best.
There's no right answer.
There's no right answer, but sometimes there really is.
No. So it's not like there's an official right answer. It's just like it's on vibe. And the whole point
it's not on vibe. There's 3 variables that can change, and you're trying to work out what is the best thing to fit the pattern of the sequence.
The whole point of this game, which as per the rule book, is the fact that humans will see patterns just where there isn't necessarily, like, just because, like, we'll just see patterns and things.
And some won't.
And some won't. So the whole thing is it's not like, oh, this is a puzzle and there's just the one correct answer. Like, no, people will see patterns. So you're just trying to match and see if someone else see the same pattern as you. But it's funny.
I think Naveen and I would say that sometimes there is just one right answer.
Yeah, well, as soon as you lay them out, like, people be like, there is a correct answer for this.
Which puts more pressure on everybody else, because the only way that you score in this game is if someone else says the same answer as you. Oh my goodness, I'm so tired. And if someone does, that's how you score. And I love this type of puzzle. Like when you go into an escape room and there's like, here's a sequence of numbers. What comes next in the sequence?
Yeah.
My brain is so happy with that type of puzzle. So I really loved this game. It's light and it's fast, but everyone really enjoyed it.
I'm not usually as good with those pattern ones, but with this one, I think because there's the combination of the animals and the color and the number, it's like, I really enjoyed myself as well.
Yeah, they've definitely brought it to life and made it more accessible.
I wish the quality of the cards had been a little bit more hardy, but again, it's a small criticism for a game that's pretty good.
It's great. It's great. We like Petiquette.
Yeah. All right, what else have I got here? You're gonna have to help me with, what was the name of this cheese?
Shinobi no gakou.
Shinobi no gakou.
Shinobi.
It's like, the school of Shinobi. So it's kind of like samurai, or like, not samurai, sorry, ninja themed. But the main, and it's got this really cute little ninja cards. Again, I'll try and see if we can, I don't know if you'll be able to see what they sort of look like, but they're really, really cute. The whole
box is upside down.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It goes this way.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I kept holding this like this. I'm like, is it like this? Is it like, no, it's like this. It's like this. Anyways, is it like this? Yes. Okay. That was 20 minutes that you didn't need. All that's happening in this game, or what's happening in this game, is you have you're kind of managing two hands. One of your hands is revealed in front of you on the table. The other hand is private, but there's also a central kind of tableau of cards that you're able to kind of interact with. So that's the main sort of thing.
We're doing a lot of shedding with interacting with tableaus.
Yes, so because
I
believe it's a shedding game. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. It's like that. Well, it's that whole kind of ninja.
I think it's an older game as well. It was recommended to me from Ben from the UK. If you're watching, Ben, thanks for the tip. Fantasy Tavern Brawl is a game that is another older game, but I've heard really great things. Actually, I don't know how old this is. Well, this is 2024, but I think this is a reprinting of it. But anyway, this game is kind of it is a dexterity game, and it takes place in an inn where a brawl has broken out, and you want to have your meeples be the ones that are still in the inn, at the end of this brawl. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking cards, and there's going to be a central mess of cards that represent the tavern with everyone's meeples in them. And you're going to be flicking cards at this inn, or dropping them, or you can you can slide as well, but your card only stays in the inn if it connects with the other cards. So you're creating this sprawling inn, but at the same time you're also hitting people's meeples out of the inn as well. And then all of the cards have I think all of the cards have actions on them, or an ability that triggers, I think, only if it stays within the inn.
Right, okay.
Yeah, otherwise you kind of go straight off the table and you're like, well, that was useless. So it allows you to do other things. Not typically our type of party game, but so many people have said that they love this game that, I wanted to pick up a copy and give it a go. Yeah.
All right, seems light and should be fun.
We were going to play it in the hotel lobby, but then I thought, that's probably not a good idea. It's like meeples sprawled out.
You'll never see those meeples
Those
again.
meeples are gone under the velvet couches.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is called Magi Miles. And it's a combination of, you can play 2 to 4, but you're playing, I believe it's trick taking. So I believe you're playing tricks, but then you're also battling. So there's this element of like, combat as well. So I don't know how that's going to play out, because they've got different like powers and abilities and things. And I believe, I don't know if this is
2-player only.
This is 2 to 4.
Oh, it's 2 to 4.
Yeah, it's 2 to 4. I think it's mainly meant to be like, I think it's meant to be mainly 2-player, and maybe there's like a variant or like a team version if you go into 4. But yeah, so that's the whole thing. It's like you've also got like these battling elements, but it's largely trick taking.
Interesting.
Yeah. Tiny box.
And the designer sold this to us and then also said that they had watched our channel.
It's so surreal.
That is wild to us. Yeah. Being in Japan. But yeah, so that was exciting.
Yeah. We're not big in Japan.
No, we're not big in Japan.
We're not big anywhere. Yeah. Not even our own household. It's like our dog is like, who are you again?
Who are you and why do you keep leaving me? I'm going to talk about a game that I bought today with like the last money in my pocket, basically.
The scrapings of coins.
And that's what happens as well at Game Market. There's these little games that are so homegrown that this is, you can see it's just a rule book, and then there's a couple of different pieces that are in here. But so there was something about this game that intrigued me. You have these cards and you set up a 3x3 grid. So there's 9 cards that are out on the table, and they look like this. And they have like an instant action at the top, and then they have a slot where players can put one of their cubes. The objective of the game is to get your 9 cubes onto the 9 cards, one on each of the 9 cards. You win the game.
Apparently that's very hard.
Apparently that's almost impossible. But the other way you could win is if your cube is on one of these cards, there is a scoring condition in the center of the card, and so at the end of the game those will get added up. If you've got cubes on there, you can have multiple cubes on the same card. But the annoying thing is the actions mess with other players
or with yourself
Yeah. There's tokens that skip players as well. So it just seems like a really short but interesting interactive game.
Yeah.
With, and there's a bit of take that, but I think it feels like interesting enough that you can kind of plan out the sequence of your actions and be like, oh, if I do that, then I can bump them from there, which means that there'll be an open space there, so I can go there next time or skip them.
Very resourceful with the few components that it has.
And there's 20 cards here, and you only need 9 for each game, and so there'll be a bit of variability too. So for $9 or 900 yen, I'm very excited to try 9 selections.
Yeah, there we go.
Do you think that's why they chose that price? Anyway,
Actually, I'm thinking of that now.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I'll cover these two very together, because they're actually quite similar. So there's Clumsy Roommates and Lazy Bellboys.
This one came out last year, and it was in a plastic bag and now has been put into a lovely box to match the new one, Clumsy Roommates.
It's been upgraded. Look at that. And so they're both, actually Lazy Bellboys is a 2-player only game, whereas Clumsy Roommates, it's 2 to 4. And they're both essentially about staff members in hotels trying to get away with being lazy and not quite doing their job if they can, like sneak in breaks, which is fair. I'm all up for breaks. So with Lazy Bellboys is more around, you're 2 bellboys and you've got 3 different types of customers. There's like families, I can't remember if it's like business people and then hitmen, and then you're like trying to see who as we all know, that's the only type of people that stay in hotels. Criminals or families, and so you're trying to get away with not being the one carrying the bags, but then you're kind of you're playing, I think it's like 8 rounds, and then by the 8th round it's sort of, that's when you might end up having to do more bags, or like it's sort of things get revealed. And with Clumsy Roommates, it's more of like you're bidding at the start how many different tasks you're going to be doing, and then seeing if you can match them and seeing if you can get away with like doing a bit less. But at the end, you need to have exact match, because that's what's going to impress your manager. So
I love the themes on those.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, fun.
I actually haven't seen the cards. Are the cards pretty?
That's a good question. Let's see.
Sorry, we'll take a moment while we look at the cards.
Oh, look at the families. So that's the families.
Really,
so there's the families. I don't know if this is going to be like, and then where are the this must be like the, I don't know what these ones represent, the sort of wealthy
aristocrat kind of types.
And then at least so these are the sort of dodgy hitmen.
Oh yeah.
They're up to no good. So it's really beautiful. Like the artwork is quite cool. On them.
Really
simple,
nice.
but like
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to talk about another quirky game, there's a few more quirky games, but this one is called Match Fixers High. So you can see it's in this little drink container. I believe the designer is Korean, not Japanese, and I think that he is well known for never creating a game that comes in a regular box. So he had one that came in like a steamer that was about dumplings.
Okay.
I wish I had that game, because that game looks super cute.
It'd be very tricky to store, but...
It would be. I mean, this is also going to be tricky to store. But in this, you are all in a race, and the person who gets to the finish line, of course, gets the trophy. But at the start of the game, you're all being given cards. It's a shedding game. I think it's a shedding game. Now I'm questioning everything. But essentially in this game, you are all getting a wild card in your hand that represents a suspicious drink.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you have this suspicious drink,
the little creature on it looks a bit suspicious indeed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's a bit glary, but
So the thing is, you can win and that's fine, but if someone wins and you still have your suspicious drink, then basically you're eliminated because you're arrested for having, for possession, essentially.
Something that you shouldn't.
Yeah. So before someone wins, you want to take the opportunity to drink the drink if you think you're not going to be the person who wins the race. And if you do that, well, then you come second, you get money.
Oh, there you go. Just like in real life? Is that how it works?
I don't know. But anyway, when we bought this game, they also gave us a sachet of an unknown substance. And given the topic of the game, we did not consume that substance.
Yeah.
No, I think it was an energy drink from Korea.
Yeah. But I'm not going to find out. I'm just going to not risk it. All right. So this is 7 Prophecies, which has actually come out already. So this is, I believe it's just a reskinning, really cool reskinning of 7 Prophecies, where the main thing with this one is you're trying to predict, so it's trick taking, and you're trying to predict not just bid on like, oh, how many tricks I'm going to win. It's like how many times I'm going to come first, second, third. So you're bidding on the number of times that you're going to come in different positions essentially as you're kind of playing. So that's really that's different.
Cool. Yeah, the artwork on this new edition
so
that just came
cool.
out, so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about one of the weirder games that we picked up. This was in the like the very new and up and coming kind of trial game area. This is called Cops versus Smugglers. It comes in a little wheelie
in a suitcase
that even has this little bit here. And the game is hilarious. It's a 2-player game where you both are going to be given a piece of clay. And what you're trying to do is you take turns as one being like a customs agent, I think, and the other person is trying to smuggle something through customs. And even the card inside where it's like the inspection area where, you know, when sometimes your bag goes down the other lane and you're like, ugh, and then they open up your bag and they go through all your things. And then they see all the board games and they're like,
what is this?
No. So what you're doing is you are trying to hide items. So there's a piece of gold, there's a little crystal, and there's a coin. And you're trying to hide that in the clay. And then you are going to have the other person try and guess which clay contains this illegal smuggled item. And then the person who's playing the custom agents is so weird, has like this stick, like a big toothpick. And they get to stab the piece of clay just once from one angle to try and hit that hard piece of contraband that is in the clay, and they get one opportunity to do that, and then they have to say whether you've smuggled something or not. And then they of course mush it to see if there's something in there, to see if they're right or wrong. Wacky. This is the type of game that you would only ever get at Tokyo Game Market. And
is it good? We don't know. We'll have to play it and see what happens.
I don't know. Good game to play at the airport. Bad game to play at the airport.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't play it at the airport.
Smuggling.
Just in case.
I also like that it said if you had a wheat allergy to not play this game because there's wheat in the
clay.
The clay is made of wheat. So anyway.
There you go. What is it called? Cops versus Smugglers.
Smugglers.
Okay,
I would talk about another game that we have played as well. This is Kochiyo Neko-chan, which is Come Here Kitty.
Or the official translation is Cat Between Us or something like that.
That's, I think, what it was called in its previous version. And this is Come Here Kitty. And so this game we have played, and it is super, super interesting. It is. So basically, you all have 2 cat meeples. You've got one cat meeple that's sitting on essentially a victory point track. If your cat meeple jumps through all of the cards that represents the victory point track and you get 3 points, you win the game. The way that you get points, though, is that you're going to be trying to move your other cat meeple along this point tracker that resets every round and has a different goal every round. So we're going to turn over one of the cards on the deck, which is going to have a little number on it that's going to tell us which goal, what the goal is. So the goal might be 20 points. And then everybody is going to place, we played a 6-player game. Again, not a game I think would be ideal at 6 players, but essentially there is 6 suits in the game, and we're going to have a card for each of the 6 suits, which represents different cat toys that you're going to use to attract your cats. But anyway, everyone's going to play 2 cards down onto those different suits. At the end of the round, when everyone's played 2 cards down, you're just going to sum the 2 numbers that are underneath each of those, and that's going to be the value for the cards that are left in your hand of those suits. And what you're trying to do, if the goal is 20, is get as close to Price is Right rules, get as close to 20 without going over. If everyone goes over, it's the person who went over the least. Now, a fascinating thing about this game is that if you win, so say I got 19, I got the closest to 20, I'm going to move forward 1 step. The next round, I'm going to get an extra card. And so that extra card is going to score me more points next time around. But that's not usually a good thing because it's much easier to go bust when you've got an extra card. And so every time you move up on that victory point track, you're getting more cards. Anyway, that's the premise of the game. It was good.
Yeah,
I
it was
liked
really good.
it.
Yeah, it was good. It was very different. Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked
very
because of
different.
that whole like, oh, wait a second, how do I?
Yeah.
And because that number, that target number can shift so much. It's like sometimes you're like, oh no, I have so many cards in my hand, there's no way. Or sometimes like, oh, I actually need to go high. So yeah, and it can be a bit hard to predict.
I think it's a 6-player count. I think that was the issue with the 6-player count. I think that it might change at 3 or 4.
Okay.
I'm intrigued to see, but it came with also this sticker sheet where you can add little like bow ties to the meeples. Anyway, super cute.
Now I'm low-key panicking a bit because we've almost gone through an hour. We're losing the light, so we might end up just like by candlelight.
We can do it. No, I believe in us. I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah.
Neko Racing is a reprint of a game that I think has been
So
out
cute.
of print for ages, but look at this. Just look. I mean, you could just buy it from that cover. It is a cat racing a car. It is a family-oriented game where you are playing tricks, and the lower the card that you win with, the more you get to move along the track with your car. If you play offsuit, you also get to store that card as like a power-up, and so next time you win a trick, boost, you can apply that boost and move faster through the track. And there's some other dynamics going on there, but honestly, I just adore this theme. I like cars, so yeah, it's cool. Neko Racing.
So we also have the Great Evening Banquet. So
The big Sashi release.
Yeah, big Sashi release, which is very much around you're sitting all these different people. It's kind of like what do you call that? Like seating chart, the board game essentially. You know, when you have like a wedding and you're having to decide where you're going to put everyone. That's this essentially. So you have all these different tables. They all have different conditions because they're essentially VIPs that you want to satisfy, and so they're going to have particular types of people that they might not get along with or that they want to be seated next to. And so the whole thing is how are you going to be arranging all of these these guests, and then there's going to be scoring based on the rows and the columns, and then the combinations within the one variety or the same type within the same tables. So very
that's a popular release, of course.
It reminded me a lot of Come Sail Away.
Yes.
So we'll see how much it differs from that.
Yeah, because we liked that, but ultimately we didn't keep it.
Yes.
But we liked it. I liked it more than you, I think.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much. Yeah.
Quintet is the game is one of the games that we got on Sunday, and one of the reasons why we wanted to drop in on Sunday. We ended up spending most of the day Sunday there anyway because it was more fun than we expected. But Quintet I picked up because, well, first of all, you are a group of animals and you're playing together, and the idea is to keep all of the instruments in harmony by summing everything to 5 each round, I think. And I can't remember the rest of it, but the main selling point of this for me is it's the designer of Four Clans Conflict, or Lone Wolves. And if you watch the channel, you'll know how much Amy was not Maggie.
Not me. Amy was a huge fan of that
game. I absolutely adore that game. And so this is by the same designer. Also did Trick and Trade, I believe, which is another like cryptocurrency game that we have, which I really like. Good trick-taking game. So anyway, really excited to give this a go. The cards inside, like, the cover doesn't do it justice. The cards are actually really cute. So anyway, that is Quintet.
All right, so the next one that I'll move on to is Fixer. So Fixer is a bit of a combination of trick-taking and then also not kind of like area control. You essentially have all these different areas and you're going to be playing cards. So you can kind of play a different, I think it's sort of representing different bureaus or kind of geographical areas. And so you're going to be having mini trick-taking competitions in different locations. And as you're winning those tricks, you're getting discs that represent kind of like the dominion of those areas. And so, it's a combination of, at the end of the day, whoever ends up having the most of those will win. But it's an interesting kind of layout of having all of those different kind of areas that then you're going to be competing for.
When we were traveling through Japan, we went to a couple of yellow submarines, and I had seen this and I didn't pick it up. And then I saw it again at Game Market. I've heard mixed things about it, so I was kind of on the fence about that one. But then, as I said, err on the side of purchasing. Such a bad motto.
That is a terrible motto. I would not. recommend that. Yeah.
Okay, the next game is called Final Binary. I am so excited about this one for one reason only, and it's definitely not the cover art. The reason is because it is the designer of Nokusu Dice. And if you watch the channel, that is definitely my number
it's
one.
high for me, but it's not
Number
my
one
number
trick-taking
one.
game
Yeah.
of all time. I love that game. That game was also available and people were buying so many copies of that. But anyway, we didn't buy any more copies of that, don't worry. But Final Binary is the designer's new game. It also leverages like placing bets on, predicting how many tricks that you're going to win. But there's this interesting card system of binary like cards that are in the center that are going to impact on a lot of things. Honestly, I started reading the rules of this one and I was
this is going to be hard.
so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I was using Google Translate and I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to work this game out. And then we found in one of our bags that they had handed us the English rules.
Like, oh, thank goodness. Okay,
It's like,
so we'll be able to learn this
Okay, so
later.
we'll be able to learn this. But anyway, that was predominantly from a designer perspective. And this was Impulsy. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so this is Smombie, which is kind of like mobile phone zombie. And so the whole game of this is Smartphone, yes.
Smartphone.
Mobile phone.
Mobile
Mobile phone. Did I say mobile phone? I am delirious. Yeah, smartphone.
You didn't say smartphone.
What did I say? I don't even know what's happening. So this is the vacation edition for some reason. So this is like when you go on vacation and the whole time you are looking at your phone. And so you have all these meeples that have like staring down.
Yeah,
and
they're looking like this.
They're looking down the whole
good.
time, missing out on everything that's happening. And so what you're doing is you're actually going to be trying to direct these meeples and potentially, so you're only playing like the directions or instructions into the next step that they're going to take, but because they're looking down, that's the only time that they can see, move left, move right, and you're going to be able to essentially move meeples off the board, so like get them out of the board. And it's got two sides, so it's got a side where it's like 2-player only, and it's that sort of competition where you're trying to make sure that your meeples stay on the board and you kick out the other meeples that are your opponents. The other side of the board is more around like it plays more players, and it's like they're kind of collecting coins, and then if they bump into each other, they lose coins, and so it's just a really, really
have a look
beautiful.
check out this box art.
The production is really cool.
I wasn't going to I actually didn't reserve this game because I read about it and I was like, it looks really cute, but it feels like it might be too abstract for Maggie. And then when we got there and we saw the box art and we saw the game, it was so beautiful. We had to get it. Oh, we got too many games. There's too many games. Okay, I'll talk about this one because I don't know that much about it, so this will be quick. But Gunjo Graduation is a shedding game. And from what I understand of it at the moment, so you're shedding with regular sets, but it has small fish and big fish, and when you play smaller fish, I think they can somehow school together so that they become more powerful. And then there's also some action cards in there that terrifyingly are in Japanese, so we'll see how we go figuring this one out. I almost taught this the other night, and then I started reading the rules, and it was very late at night, and I was like, no, that feels like a later thing. I'm going to talk about this one quickly, Duck and Cover. Why? Because this is not a Japanese game.
No.
This is just a game that we played a lot at Dice Tower West, and a lot of people have been talking about this party game. It's it's very light, it's very bingo style. It's a lot of fun, but we cannot get it in Australia. And there was a Japanese, I think like board game store that had a booth here that was selling a lot of games from overseas. So we picked up Duck and Cover, and for a very pretty penny, we picked up Rival Cities, which I
actually see the cover because it's
got the Japanese rules there. But it's Rival Cities. It is a 2-player game that was on my most anticipated games of the year. I was not expecting, couldn't find it on Saturday. I heard it might be here, saw it on Sunday. It was like $60 Australian, which is
cheap.
A lot.
We're paying import fees into like another country to then take to another.
Yeah, but
it's
anyway,
very cosmopolitan copy.
Yes, but it isn't available in Australia. I actually don't think it's available in many places yet. So I'm very excited to play this Rival Cities, but those two are non-Japanese games.
Oh, there you go. And speaking of cities, this one is, I can't remember, it's like Machi.
What is that?
Builder. So it's a cute little city builder that just has the most adorable art. And yeah, it's like just, these beautiful cards that will somehow grid together and create a city. I always really enjoy.
That is all you needed to know.
That's all I needed to know. I'm like, it's beautiful, it's city building. They just go into a tableau adjacent to it, and I was like, I'm in.
They were only there on Sunday.
They're only there today. Yeah.
Maggie sent me the link, and she's like, I would like to reserve this one, please. And I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk about this one. This is very quick and easy. It is another Oink game. It is actually the game Mask Men, which is a Taiki game, the designer, which is a shedding game. But this is the Disney Villains version, which you can only get in Japan because that's where they have the license to do it. So we picked that one up.
I've got also Fine Line. This is another like eating themed one where again it's a fine line between eating as much as you can and then I ate too much and now I'm unwell. So you actually even have like antacid type medicines to like balance and make sure that you kind of hit. So this is by Leo, who's same designer as Vivo, Petiquette, Salty. Oh my god!
Look at us. We're like the twins.
The Australian twins that we only just learned about very, very recently. Speaking in unison. But, yeah. So yeah, excited for this one. The artwork again, like I think I like the artwork of this the most.
Tell me about the theme.
It's I just talked about like she's asleep.
I was so asleep.
You're trying to eat as much as you can, but not. It's a fine line, not go over and that's why there's even medication cards where if you're to essentially help you with digestion.
I think I'm asleep with my eyes open.
You are.
It's not even late. It's not even late. It's just been a really big 2 weeks.
6 o'clock. But yeah, it's been a big week.
Ukiyo-e. This is a really cute re-implementation of a game I think originally called Crazy Chickens, and then it's had many themes, this game, but essentially it's a little bit like I think modern art, but much faster and lighter, where you are collecting, in this case, artwork of different artists, and then you're trying to play them down, and you're trying to have the most of you're giving like a show of a particular artist, and you're trying to have the most of anyone around the table. If someone plays more of a particular artist than you, yours get cancelled out. And so I think it's just a really quick like set collection game. But it's been really re-implemented so many times, and like, well, must be good. Good game underneath. Else you'd come up with another one, wouldn't you?
You'd stop printing that one.
Yeah.
This is Woodlanders, which is one of the newer games by Daniel Newman. And
the new game by
Daniel Newman. And so with this one, it's all about being wardens of deciding who's going to be the warden of the forest, but then it's also, I think this is the one that has a pain card. I may be mixing it with something else, but I believe this is the one that has so you end up having a card that is like a pain card or pain suit, but it's going to be different for different people, and that everything else is fading in my mind.
That is fair. It's been over an hour now.
But I think everyone's going to be fading as well.
This is another little one that I picked up. I wasn't intending to, and then I just saw it in person, and I thought that's pretty cool. So it's called Switch Colors. It's a trick-taking game, and in this trick-taking game, you've got cards that are divided with two different coloured suits, and basically you play it with one suit as the lead, but then if someone else plays a card of the same color, so if it's got the exact same combo of colors, it switches which color has been led, and therefore who wins the trick. And so I just thought that was a really cool idea, and the cards just look really neat, really well laid out from a graphic design perspective. So yeah, excited to give that a go. Switch colors.
Ooh, this one is the Wondrous Museum. So Wondrous Museum, this was a really cool one because it's like it's more of a, you're kind of building a tableau, you're creating a museum, you're creating adding all these different cards that represent all the different things that are in your museum, but then you're having these runes that will activate the cards in different orders. So some of the cards will have a particular match, different runes. And so as you play, like for example, a green rune, it'll activate all the cards that have a green icon on them. And so I think it's going to be very much about like the sequence of how things then activate to then allow you to get other stuff and then eventually get points, and then whoever has the most points will
And this is again a retheming of another game.
Don't know what the original
And
game
Jay
was.
from Cardboard East really liked the original game, I think,
Okay.
and mentioned this, and so
Yeah.
I wanted to pick that up. Another 2 games that I bought last minute as well. On Sunday there was a booth that had a really long line, and once we worked out what it was, thanks to a bit of help, it's a designer who worked for Oink Games, who has now their own publishing company, I think. And so they have these little games here, super cute. There was a third one that was a dexterity game that had sold out, where you're like holding these cubes as candles. But you know, we don't love dexterity anyway. But these other 2 looked interesting. One called Lose Well, one called Compress, that had these like binary style cards. So yeah, they're just, I don't know, the packaging and everything was really cute. So we'll give those a go.
Nice.
And
then
what else?
Do you have any other?
I've got so many.
Yes.
Snitch Trick. This little one here. All I know about this game is you are playing tricks, and then you're also trying to smuggle goods, and it's something about the timing of when you want to tuck away those the goods that you're hiding. So that is that one. Tricksmith, I have completely forgotten the rules of. I'm so sorry, but I do know that it's the designer of the muscle taking game.
Yes.
So the one that's about bodybuilding, and it has the craziest cards of all these like cartoon bodybuilding men.
That's good enough.
This is Tricksmith. I think there's something to do with resources actually in this game, which you will like. So
I do love resources.
You do love
I do love resource management.
resources.
Now this one was, it's called something like My Sunny Day, like the translation of it. And essentially what happens is you are playing cards up until a point where you're going to be able to play a card that acts like your umbrella card, and it's sort of like a special card, and it becomes your prediction of your bid. But at that point you're also locking in not just how many tricks you're going to win after you play that card, but also how many you've won before you played that card. So it's like a before and after kind of thing.
And this is the designer of Sumida River, which is a shedding game that a lot of people say is their favorite shedding game, but of course it's completely out of print, and we've never played it, and I would love to play it. Hopefully that one's as good.
Then there's this one that's called Live Mix, where you're essentially playing to gain idols, so like music idols, and that's as much as I remember of that. Again, as we play these, if they are exceptional, we'll get covered.
Them.
Yeah,
we'll
they'll be featured, and then we will hopefully tell you the full good rules, correct rules.
I've got a little game here, a tiny little one. This is called Gaming Janken. So that is like gaming, and then the rock, paper, scissors game, because apparently in Japan that's how you determine first player a lot of the time, is rock, paper, scissors. But this game is like you're trying to state who the winner of that game is. And at first I thought everyone plays that game and you've got cards that have rules about who's winning, like maybe the ranking changes or something. But now that I've looked at it a bit closer, I think you're actually trying to say really quickly, you turn over a card and there's this game that's playing out, and you've got to shout the name of the person that wins, but it's all in Japanese.
Oh boy.
So
we may have made a mistake.
That may not be a party game that many of our game friends can play.
All right, so the next one is going to be this game called Senna, which you'll see it's a really cool artwork, and it's kind of like the trick-taking answer to something like, Between Two Castles or Splitto, where you are actually going to be playing with, kind of partnering with the person on your left and the person on your right, and so it's going to be whoever ends up having the best combo of points.
Yeah, and this is the same publisher who did Tournay last year, which is actually incredibly well reviewed, and we haven't played it yet, and that's a bad error.
It seems to be another theme in our.
I know. Anyway,
games in our collection that are
know,
highly revered.
And all we're doing is adding 50 more. But anyway, Tournay, it was by Chuo, is the designer who has done a lot of games like the Ostia and Aqua Garden, all those kind of games, Perfumery. But I don't know if that one is also designed by Chuo, because it just has the publishing name.
AI
and even on
Labs
BGG, it just has the publisher name.
AI Labs.
I imagine that he was involved in that as well. So
The next one is called Doppelganger Tricks. So this one is so the interesting thing about this is you're going to have cards that can be a doppelganger, or act as the card that was the led suit. However, if the real card that this is kind of posing as gets played, they'll cancel each other out. So it's essentially kind of like how that works. So you've got like fake cards in a way, or the cards that can be imposter
mimicking
for other cards. Yeah. So
fun. That is by the designer of Fairy. You know that little game?
The one where
the
you're kind of
all-play
holding
game where you're all-play game where you're holding the cards.
Yes, to keep track of your points.
Score?
Yeah.
A really fast and fun
very
party
silly,
game.
but very
This
funny.
Speaking of designers, Sumu is a game that I picked up only again because of the design. This is by PAX Guild. They have done a lot of trick-taking games. Last year they did the one that's about the pool.
Oh,
Snooker.
yes. A trick shot.
Trick shot.
Yes.
We did not like Trick Shot, unfortunately.
It wasn't a hit with us.
But they have had many other hits, and one of the games that we love is the roulette taking game of theirs, which of course we can't get a copy of. But anyway, Sumu is a trick taking game where you what are you doing, Amy? My brain just like,
are you adding
Is it in there? Is it in there?
Looks like fireworks.
No, you are creating draw piles at the start of the game that you are going to be able to draw from, and I believe you use cards that other people discard as well in the trick taking. So it's about setting yourself up for success when you're going to draw from them later. So that's a really cool concept as well. So that's Sumu. I picked up this little game called Rivals because it's one of these really quick. It's a really well-known game where each player only has 8 cards and you're revealing one simultaneously. And then it's like this battle with the actions that happen on the cards. Again, the cards are entirely in Japanese.
Yeah, that's going to be
I bought it secondhand, so it wasn't expensive. So maybe I'll just spend the time. There's only 8 cards for each player, so maybe I'll just actually put the translations on them.
There's this one that was another like last minute thing. So it's called Barrio. Hadn't seen anything about it, didn't know of it, but it's a Spanish publisher, Spanish game where it's a city builder with resource management. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. It looks awesome.
That's very pretty.
Sold.
Yeah, do you want to talk about your tarot
Yes,
decks?
and then these are completely just like, I always end up picking up some random tarot decks. So this is actually like an oracle card, but this one, it's called Meow Oracle, and it's made, the artwork and the cards is made with like paper art.
Yeah.
So
paper
cutting art, and they're all
amazing.
different cats, which I'm not
Is
sure.
every card different as well?
Yes,
like in the
yes. They're all different. So, and there's actually a game as well built into it where that you can. It's not, or you can just use them as oracle cards. And then there's this. I had bought this tarot deck here that had this really cute. Cute artwork, and you can see sort of some of it in the back. But the one that I had bought last time we were here only had like 22 cards, so the major arcana. And now they've actually created the full deck. So all of the other cards are fully illustrated as well. So I was like, oh, and it's got this really beautiful gold, like obviously like magnetic kind of opening, but all of them have this beautiful like foil, gold foil. So I was like, yep, I am sold. And they've put the interpretation of like the meaning essentially of all the cards in them in English as well, and also for both like the upright and the upside down. So you can actually, even if you don't know what they mean, you can kind of, if you wanted to play them, they have a game built into it of going, which is essentially just like reading the tarot decks. Like someone will ask a question, what should I have for dinner? And then, you know, it's one of those like whoever gives the best answer based on the cards that they pulled out, will be the winner. All right. So I think that's all of
the games that we purchased.
Yes.
As you can see, there were many of them, and we spent all of our money, and we bought more than we anticipated.
We're very poor
and
now.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes different games speak to either one of us, and we end up buying more because of that.
Yes.
But I also want to talk about a few games that we were given as review copies. Just wanted to make that clear, but we only accept games where we think that's interesting and we'd they'd like to tell you all about how it plays. The first one is I would say this was one of the most popular games by Itten at the Tokyo Game Market. Hits and Outs. It is as you can see, it is a baseball themed game. And what you're doing is it's head-to-head. It's 2-player only game. One player is going to be batting and the other one is going to be doing the other thing, throwing, pitching. That's the one. And the person who is...
You can actually see a little bit from the back there.
Yeah, the meeples are really cute. But the person who is pitching is going to take these 4 tokens and put them behind a screen, and they're going to try and decide where they're going to hide the ball.
Yeah.
And the ball is going to go under, so all the tokens are going to go under these little caps or these hidden things, and then you're going to put them at each of the bases around the field.
The bases of the field, yeah.
I don't play baseball. I don't do sports. Anyway, and then the other player is simply going to try and find the baseball.
The hit, yeah. So that will be the hit, which will allow one of the players to get to base, essentially.
Yes. But if you don't, you're going to get basically an out. And if you get 3 strikes on that, you're out.
Then you're
out. You're out.
Yeah.
But until then, if you're finding the baseball, the other person's going to continue to reshuffle those tokens and put them back out there. And if you continue to put that baseball out, your player meeples are going to be moving around and
actually
getting
scoring
home runs
and
all that
so
kind of thing.
So it's if you love baseball, I think this is gonna be a
like we clearly do.
Like we don't even know the terms. I played a bit of baseball growing up in South America. It's quite a big thing. So yeah, that's why I roughly know some of the terminology. But it is a bit probably more on the simpler side.
It's on the simpler side.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, the strategy to trying to, play mind games with the other person. Like, did I put it there? And, I put it there last time. Would I be silly enough to put it there again?
Yeah.
So it's just like, kind of hiding that and getting the goals. It's a very, very simple, but a lot of Itten games are very accessible. So if you like their style of games, you'll probably like this one.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a really great thematic game though.
Yeah, so it's hits and outs. Then
the next 2
are
from Origame, which is a Singapore-based publisher. One of their big hits of this Tokyo Game Market is Overparked. As you can see, quite a big game here.
Yeah.
It is a polyomino tile laying game where you are trying to park cars in your parking lot. And obviously they are all, different shapes and sizes, and you're trying to connect cars that are all the same color. You're going to be drafting from a set of cards that are in the center, then that dictates which shapes that you're taking to put on, and then everyone's going to score based on the variable scoring setup that's determined at the start of the game. Then there's some other little thematic twists. There's like a key token.
Yeah, you can spend keys to be able to like move cars.
Just like a valet.
Just throw the key around.
My car.
Yeah, so it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does look cool. And we like polyomino tile laying games, and we haven't played a lot of them recently. It doesn't seem to be...
Hasn't been the most in vogue thing recently.
It hasn't been. So and also, again, car theme. I really like the car theme. This reminds me of like those apps that you played.
With the rush hour where you're trying to get the different cars out of the car park.
Yeah, but no, I think our friends will really like that.
Yeah.
So,
and this one is 13 Animals, which has got beautiful art by Sai Beppu, and it's kind of like a set collection where you can either get sort of easier sets to make that give you fewer points, or more difficult sets that will give you more points. However, you can see from the back of the cards the suit. So you can kind of deduce potentially what other people might be going for, and therefore kind of sabotage their efforts. So that's 13 Animals. And then we also have...
a big one. This one is by the wonderful World of Board Games. They're a publisher who did Lone Wolves, actually. And so I think that's how they connected with us on the channel when we covered Lone Wolves. And they wanted to share with us this new game that they've also launched recently, Castle Raisers, which has a really cool like 3D element to it, because what you're doing is you are... I don't know if you're bidding or drafting the different pieces that are going to be built into your own personal castle.
Was the story of the three little pigs?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I totally missed the theme,
and
of
then
course.
obviously, but instead of building houses, they're building castles, and you're obviously
leveled up.
They've leveled up, but so have the wolves. The wolves come in like with a full armory, so you're building this actual 3D round kind of castles with these pieces of like what they're going to be like the wood or the hay or the
But what I like about it is when you place a piece, whatever you cover, generates some kind of action as well.
Yeah.
So depending on where you're placing as well,
Yeah.
it's going to do something. But I really like that everyone has their own individual
castle
castle
that you're
they're
building.
up. Yeah, it's really
That's
cool.
it's a cool use of that story. What else do we have? We have
Yeah.
this one. So Haze Islands. So this is by Charles Ward, who did Sky Towers and Banana Boy versus Unicorn, which was a big hit at our house. And so this is one of his older games, which he originally had done as a print and play, and even was nominated for a Golden Geek, best print and play. And it's all about you're essentially like you're generating these, you're adding these island tiles. And so like the world is kind of being revealed, but then you're also kind of like navigating through it, and so it'll be an interesting one. It's originally a solo game that then got expanded to multiplayer.
And he said it was also incredibly difficult.
He said, I made it stupid hard because that was the thing at the time. Like it was like the thing in vogue was like to make a game that was really, really difficult. Now, probably not so much.
Not as accessible because it's probably really difficult.
Probably very, very
But that
difficult.
intrigues me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
well, we'll see. You seem to be pretty good. Maybe it's one of those where I just watch you play and I'm like, you're doing so well. Hey, well done. All right,
Okay,
final game.
The last game is an exciting one because I'd heard rumors about this game. It is Jisogi.
Anime Studio Tycoon.
Yeah, so this is about building an anime studio. And I'd heard about this game, but also knew that the team were not going to release it at Tokyo Game Market because it is currently being delivered to backers.
Yes.
So, out of respect for their backers, they didn't want to sell it here at the Game Market. The one of the designers, or Esper, who is the designer but also has the publishing company, came up to us during the con, and we'd never met before, and he said he was a big fan of the channel, which was so lovely, and that he wanted to tell us about his game, and I was like, of course, and so we went over to his booth not knowing that this was the game, and we'd heard a bit about it already. And interestingly, his wife used to work in the anime industry, and it's called Jisogi because that is taken from a saying about
like when the wheels fall off a
adage,
bicycle.
That a business always runs at like bare minimum, like you're always about to go under because her knowledge of the anime industry is that artists are kind of working really hard and
how
there's a lot of pressures,
things can be.
Precarious, and so that's what this game is all about. And what's really cool is that they commissioned anime artists to do the artwork, and I don't think the cover does it justice.
The
artwork is
some of the
absolutely stunning in this game.
And the cards are really beautiful as well. Like every card, it's just So I'm really excited to play it. It's it's a bigger work. Like it's like economy, worker placement, and like kind of bigger kind of gaming experience. Euro type gaming experience.
So he kindly gave us this review copy to check out. We look forward to talking about it once we've had a game of it, and that is
oh my goodness,
all of the games that we picked up at Tokyo Game Market, and not the ones that we also picked up at board gaming stores.
There's a little bit more.
There's a little bit more on top,
but only a few.
And now we have to go and play a game where we try and fit them all into our suitcases.
Now it's the packing game.
The packing game because we are headed home tomorrow, but. Let us know if this is helpful and if you like this format, or if you want to see other videos about Japan. We have traveled here quite a few times.
Also, I'm very keen to know which of these games are you really, really interested to know about.
We can prioritize.
Exactly. We can rearrange the playing order to make sure that those get played potentially first. So let us know in the comments which ones you're definitely most interested in hearing about. Is this worth my time? should I be buying this? Should I be finding a way of playing this?
And it feels like our friends are not allowed to play anything other than trick-taking or shedding games for the
We're
next
very
6
sorry,
months.
friends. This is all that is happening. And your sister as well.
Yeah, and my sister probably. Yeah, so
This is your life now.
If there's any other videos, like other content about Tokyo Game Market, or, you know, shopping for board games in Japan, please let us know. Happy to make some more videos about that. But for now, we'll leave it here because it's been the longest video ever.
long.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with more board game content soon. But otherwise, bye for now. Bye.